Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be showing you how to make this little elephant. The pattern is going to be in the description box below, but I'm going to walk you through each step. I'm hoping this pattern will be accessible to anyone who wants to make it, so I'm going to try and walk through it quite slowly. I'm also going to leave a link in the box below to all of the stitches that I use. So it's really just going to be single crochet and slip stitches, and we're going to be using magic loops as well, but I'll show you how to make those. And if you're unsure of anything, please just leave a comment down below and I'll try and reply as soon as I can to help you out. So to make this pattern, you are going to need a crochet hook and some yarn. So I'm using a 2.5mm crochet hook and double knit cotton, and I've also got some, this is number 10 crochet cotton for the eyes. So it doesn't really matter what size of hook or yarn you use as long as they match. So in the actual pattern on my blog, I've suggested using number 10 crochet cotton for all of it and a 1mm hook, but you could just as easily use a 4-ply yarn, and I'd go for a 2mm hook with that, or you just have to kind of experiment to see what works for you. I'd suggest using something a bit thinner for the eyes, which is what the black yarn is going to be used for, just because it's quite small. I think double knit would be too thick. You're also going to need a darning needle to sew it up, and some scissors, some toy stuffing, and I've also got a scrap of yarn to act as a stitch marker, but that's optional. It's just useful for marking the rounds. You may have your own stitch marker you want to use instead. That's totally fine. So we're going to start off making the body of your elephant. So the first thing you need to do is make a magic loop with 6 single crochet. So to make a magic loop, we are going to wrap the yarn around our index finger. So if you just hold it using your thumb and then wrap it as so. If you just hold it with your other finger, take your crochet hook, slide your crochet hook under this loop here, and then we just need to pull this strand through as so. Next we're going to make a chain stitch. So if you wrap this section of yarn around your hook and pull it through, we've made a chain stitch. Now I'm going to take the loop off my finger, and I'm going to make 6 single crochet stitches into this loop. So as I said, I'm going to leave a link down below to a great video showing you how to make single crochet stitches, but really it just involves wrapping your hook around the yarn, pulling it through so you have 2 loops on your crochet hook, wrapping the yarn around again and then pulling it through both loops. So that's the first single crochet stitch. We then need to make 5 more single crochet stitches into this loop here. So that's 2, 3, 4. You may want to pull on this free section of yarn to tighten it slightly. That might make it easier. Then we're going to make the 5th and the 6th stitch. So once we've made all 6 stitches, we're going to pull on this loose end here to tighten the ring, and then that is our first round done. For our second round, we're going to want to make 2 single crochet stitches in each of these 6 single crochet stitches we've done. So if you insert your hook under that first single crochet stitch there, and then pull the yarn through so you have 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through. And we then want to insert our crochet hook into the same stitch that we've just crocheted into. So if you see there, I can see that my stitch is coming out of this stitch that I did previously, and then I'm going to want to insert my hook through there, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through. So now I have 7 stitches, and I'm going to want to repeat doing that all the way around the loop. So if I make a single crochet stitch into this first stitch and then put my hook through it again and crochet, that's the next stitch, and then we just want to do the same again. So hook through, yarn over, pull through, that's 1 single crochet, and that's the second. So that's the 3rd time we've done that. We want to do it 3 more times. So make a single crochet and then another in the same stitch, and again, and then 1 last time. And then it's often a good idea to check you've got the right number of stitches once you finish the round. So yes, that's 12 stitches. So the next 5 rounds just involve making a single crochet stitch into each of these 12 stitches in turn. So this is where I'm going to bring in my stitch marker, just so I can keep track of the rows. So what I tend to do is just kind of put my stitch marker in between the stitch I've just made and the one that I'm going to make, and then it just stays in place, and it keeps track of how many rows I've done and also the beginning of each round, so that I don't have to keep count of the number of stitches that I've done, really. So row 3, just make a single crochet stitch in every stitch. So that's 3, 4, 5. So that is round 3 done, and the next 4 rounds are just exactly the same. So that is the 5 rounds of single crochet finished. I'm just going to pull out my stitch marker. So round 7 says single crochet together to end. So what we're going to do is insert the yarn through this next stitch, yarn over and pull through, And now, whereas we would yarn over and pull through both of these hoops, we're going to put our hook underneath the next single crochet stitch, yarn over and pull through so that we've got 3 loops in our hook, and only then are we going to yarn over and pull through so that we've effectively reduced 2 single crochet stitches to 1. And we're going to do that 6 times. So put the hook through, yarn over, pull through, and then hook through the next loop, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So for the 3rd time, and then just continue doing that around. There we go. So at this point again, it's probably a good idea to count the number of stitches you have just to check that it's correct. So you should have 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so we're all good. Now, the next round, round 8, says 2 single crochet in each stitch. So, as we did on round 1, we're going to crochet in the following stitch and then make another single crochet stitch in the same stitch, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around. So crochet and then crochet in the same place again. So crochet and then in the same loop. So again, it's a good idea to count your stitches. We should have 12 at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, that's good. So the next 3 rounds, rounds 9 to 11, we just need to single crochet in each stitch as we did for rounds 2 to 6. So that's pretty simple. I'm going to use my stitch marker again and then just crochet in each stitch. So it's at this point you're going to want to start stuffing your elephant. So I find it useful to use the blunt end of the crochet hook to just push the stuffing into place. It might take a bit of force, but it should get in there. So once that's all nicely stuffed, you can continue with round 12. So round 12 says single crochet 3 together 3 times and then single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So the single crochet 3 together is a bit like single crochet 2 together, but you do it an extra time. So we're going to put our crochet hook through this loop and pull through, and then we're going to put the hook through the next stitch and pull through. And whereas in single crochet 2 together we would now yarn over and pull through these 3 loops. We're instead going to insert our hook through the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, so we've got 4 loops on our hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 4 loops so that you reduce 3 stitches down to 1. And we're going to do that again, so pull through 1, 2 and 3, so we've got 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, and then one more time, pull through 1, 2, 3, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And now we're just going to make a regular single crochet stitch into the next 3 stitches. Now, at this point, you may want to add a little bit more stuffing. I think I'm going to add a tiny bit more. There we go, just make sure the head and body is nice and firm. And now we can go on to the next round. So, rounds 13 to 14 are both the same, and they just need us to crochet in each of these 6 stitches. So before you start, it's probably a good idea to check you do have 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're all good to crochet in each of these 6 stitches for the next 2 rounds. Okay, so this is the point at which it starts to get a little bit fiddly. So the next round, round 15, says single crochet in the first stitch, single crochet 2 together, repeat to end. So we're going to make a single crochet stitch in the first stitch, and then single crochet 2 together as we've done previously. So pull the yarn through, and now this is why it's quite tricky, because it gets rather small at this point. So you've just got to be careful with where you're inserting your hook. And yeah, so we're going to make that single crochet 2 together, and then single crochet in the next stitch, and then make another single crochet 2 together, which again is quite fiddly. Might not seem like it wants to work particularly, but it will. And we just make that single crochet 2 together, and now we have 4 stitches, and we're ready to do the final 3 rounds. So rounds 16 to 18 are very short rounds. They're only 4 stitches long, but they are probably the trickiest rounds just because there's not much room to move your crochet hook. It might not seem like you're able to fit the hook under the stitches. You might need to give it quite a bit of force, but really you just need to keep trying to elongate the trunk until you're happy with it. I mean, if you're happy with this short little trunk and you don't want to make it any longer, then that's fine, that's all good. I think he's quite cute with this little trunk anyway, but I am going to demonstrate how you make it longer. So you just need to crochet in each of these 4 stitches. So 1, 2, oops, 3, and then 4, and then continue that for the next 2 rounds. So once you have done that, you have finished all the crochet in the first section of our elephant. So now just get some scissors and snip this off. So you're going to need to leave a little bit of a tail, so I'd say that length is about right, and then just fasten off. And now if you get your needle, now we're going to need to sew in this loose end. So thread the needle, and then we're going to thread the yarn back through the hole of the trunk and out into the head, and then pull tightly so that the trunk curls upwards as so. And then we're just going to make a few small stitches in this area of the head to secure the yarn in place, and then we can chop it off. There we go. So that's that bit completed. So the next bit we're going to do is going to be the ears. So once again, we're going to want to make a magic loop. Yarn around your finger as so, hook under and pull through this length of yarn, and then take it off your finger and make a chain stitch. And now we're going to make 4 single crochet stitches into this magic loop here. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then pull tightly. So after we've made these 4 single crochet stitches, we're going to want to make a chain stitch and then turn our crochet over so that we can crochet back in the opposite direction. Now we're going to insert our hook under this stitch here. So not the chain stitch we've just made, but the single crochet stitch we made before that. So hook under and then make a single crochet stitch into here. And then we're going to make another single crochet stitch because the pattern says to make 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch on the previous row. So single crochet, and then in the next stitch along, crochet, and then crochet in the same stitch, and then repeat that, and then in the final stitch of the row make 2 single crochets. Now we're going to turn our work around, and we want to slip the first 5 stitches of this row. So it might be a little tricky to slip this first stitch just because of how the yarn is kind of looped around. But so to slip, you just want to yarn over and then pull through both the stitch and the loop on your hook. So as I said, that can be a little fiddly in this first example, but it is possible. And then the next stitch we do the same, and it should be a bit more manageable this time. I say that. There we go. And then so exactly the same for the next 3 stitches. Just slip through there. Then the next 2 stitches we're going to make a single crochet stitch into, and then we're going to slip the last stitch, and then we can fasten off. So again, I'd recommend leaving a reasonable sized tail just so that when you sew the ear onto the elephant later, you can use the yarn tail rather than having excess tails to sew in. So the next ear, the first 2 rows are exactly the same. So I'm just going to go through making those very quickly. If you need a recap on how to make them, you can rewind the video and watch it again. Or if you're still confused, please just leave a comment below and I'll try and help you out in any way I can. So at this point you should have 8 stitches around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I'm going to slip the first stitch, but now I'm not going to slip the next 4 stitches. I'm instead going to make a single crochet stitch into the following 2 stitches, and then I'm going to slip the final 5 stitches. Slip 3, 4. So this just makes sure the ears are symmetrical and have this nice little groove at the front. So fasten off. And now you should have 2 ears. So now I'm going to show you how to make the tail. So we're going to need another magic loop. So pull the yarn through as so. And if we chain 1, but instead of making any crochet stitches into this loop, we're just going to pull it tightly because we're going to be making a chain. So this stitch here counts as your first chain stitch, and then chain 1, 2, 3, 4 more, so you've got a series of 5 chain stitches, and then we're going to make 3 single crochet stitches in the second loop from the hook. So this here is the first loop from the hook, and then this is the second one that we're going to be crocheting into. So hook through there and make 1 single crochet, and then in again 2, in again 3, and now we just want to make a slip stitch in the next chain along, and after that we can fasten off. And that's all the crochet we need to do on the tail. Put that to the side for the minute. Now the final thing we need to make for our elephant is the feet. So these are pretty simple. So we need to make a magic loop, as we've done so many times before, and then make 6 single crochet stitches into this loop as we did for the main body of the elephant. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull tight. And each of the rounds of the feet are exactly the same, and they involve crocheting in each of these 6 stitches. So we need to do that for 3 rounds. So 1, 2, 6. So that's round 1 done. You may want to turn the crochet the right way round, else you'll be making the leg inside out, although it doesn't really matter that much. And then we need to crochet in each of these 6 stitches for 2 more rounds. and then after you've done those rounds you are finished. So I like to fasten off just by making a slip stitch in the next stitch that I would have been crocheting in, and then fastening off. It just makes it a little bit neater, and it means you don't have a sort of bump where you fasten off, but it doesn't really matter that much. So now you just need to make 3 more legs, and then come back to the video and I'll show you how to assemble it all. So now you should have a body, 2 ears, a tail and 4 legs. So I've also stuffed the legs firmly. You should do that too if you think it is necessary. So the first thing we're going to do when making this up is to sew the ears onto the elephant. So you want to sew them to the sides of the heads and curl them round as so. So when you do this, you just want to make some small stitches into the head and through the ears. So that's my first ear sewn on, and now I'm just going to do exactly the same with the other one. So curl it round like that and then sew it in place. So now I've sewn both the ears on, I'm going to want to sew the legs in place. So it's up to you how what angle you choose to do these. So if you look at the elephant I made earlier, I made it so that his legs were at an angle to the head. I thought that was kind of cute. But if you wanted to do it straight so that it was all symmetrical, then that's up to you. I think I'm going to do it at a little bit of an angle again because I quite like how it looks. So once you've sewn the legs on, you're going to want to sew the tail on. So this is pretty simple, just sew it to the rear end of your elephant and then weave in this loose end here. So the final thing we need to do is embroider the eyes in place. So you want to get some black yarn and then just embroider one here and one on the other side of the head. So once you've done that, that is your elephant completed. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial video and found it useful. If you have any suggestions for future videos you'd like me to make, so any of my patterns on my blog or just anything else you'd like to see a pattern for, please let me know, leave a comment down below, tell me what you want me to make, and I'll try and do it. Thank you, bye!